This is Gene Monterostelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 539, originally aired September 28th, 2022. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are. Whatever time of day you get a chance to listen to this, thanks for spending some time with me. Today we are going to talk about and do a little tapping for the single most challenging question I have been presented with recently as I look at my life and I look at my transformation, and I think you will find it a useful, interesting conversation as well. Before we do that, two quick announcements. Number one, we have a free 10-part guide on how you can use tapping to eliminate self-sabotage. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com, click on that big blue button. If you happen to be in the website right now and you go up into the upper right-hand corner and you click on that blue button, we will get you that guide. And every single day for the next 10 days, you'll get a little bite-sized nugget that will help you to navigate your way through using tapping to eliminate self-sabotage. And then at the end of 10 days, you can choose the one or two techniques that works the best for you. Secondly, I want to send a big shout out and thank you to all the supporters of the Tapping Q&A podcast. If you did not see the note that went your direction in the last couple of days about the Tapping Lab, make sure you log into your account and check that out. If you got any questions about it, hit me up, gene@tappingqa.com. If you would like to support the Tapping Q&A podcast, receive some amazing gifts, and get access to the Tapping Lab, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/support. And once again, thank you to all of our amazing supporters. So a number of weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be one of the workshop presenters at the Energy Fest that is put on by Donna and Donna Eden's organization, which meant that I got to spend time at the conference, not just speaking, but also learning. And one of the keynote presentations was given by Dr. Thema Bryant, and it was breathtaking. Like, it was absolutely breathtaking, and I wish I could get into all the details, but it is something that was a keynote that was awesomeness. But she did ask one question that was a really interesting question, that she asked the question, and because of her very dynamic nature as a speaker, she had created really amazing audience engagement where she'd ask questions and the audience would respond, and she's just amazing. And she asked a question, she got an audience response, and then she stopped and she said, "Are you sure?" Which I thought was really interesting. And the question was, do you want to be whole? And immediately the audience was like, yes. And then she was like, "Are you sure?" And the reason why she asked the question, "Are you sure?" is oftentimes when we think of a question like that, do you want to be whole? We are only thinking of the consequence of that. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does our life look like to be whole? And it's a good thing for us to have clear direction that we want to head to. It's a good thing for us to have an understanding of what is possible. But in her, "Are you sure?" what she was asking was not, do you want to be whole? But are you willing to do what it takes to become whole? Because for transformation to happen, though spontaneous remission and spontaneous transformation is possible, it doesn't happen without intent, and it doesn't happen without us doing work. Simply wanting to transform is not enough. We need to put in the effort. And when it comes to transformation and when it comes to being whole, it means that we have to face the things that are preventing us from being whole. And the things that are preventing us from being whole are all of the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves and the world and what is possible. And in order to be whole, we have to transform the way we see ourselves, and we have to transform the way we see the world. And again, on the surface, that sounds awesome. I would love to see myself as complete. I would love to see the world as a place that is safe for me. But how do we get there? And that's when the questions become much harder. What are you willing to give up in order to be whole? What behaviors, what thoughts, what beliefs, what ways you're investing your time, what people you have in your life? What are you willing to give up to be whole? What are you willing to learn in order to be whole? Again, about yourself, about the world, about the people around you, about the choices you've made in the past. What are you willing to accept? Because in order to transform the way that we ourselves and the way we see the world, is we have to accept new realities. And the realities I have served me. And my subconscious mind clings to them. And so, what do I have to be in the position of? What am I willing to confront in order to be whole? My past choices, the stories I'm telling myself, again, the people I have in my life, the things that are in the world that create injustice, not just for me, for all. What are you willing to heal in order to be whole? One of the most interesting reads on Dante's Inferno is not about the 7 layers of hell and all the horrific stuff that happens inside of it. But in Dante's Inferno, the gates to hell are not locked. That the people who are stuck, repetitively going through these horrible things, at any point could walk out of the horror and the terror and the punishment that they are receiving. But it requires an act of the will. It requires them to recognize the errors of their ways, the beliefs that are no longer useful, the vanities, the lies, the whatever was creating their worldview. And so in order to be whole, we have to be willing to give up things, thoughts, beliefs. We have to be able to learn, oftentimes hard truths. We need to accept things as they are, not as we want them to be. There are things that we might need to confront. And there are parts of our past and our experience that we need to heal. And so then all of a sudden, the question, do you want to become whole, becomes significantly more treacherous. Because it's not just about the outcome, but it's about our willingness to get from here to there. So let's just do a little tapping on that. Tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And if you're not doing something that requires your attention, like driving a car and you want to close your eyes, do that. Tap on the side of the hand, take another nice big deep breath. Just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. I want to be whole. I want to be better. I want to be complete. But simply wanting it is not enough. Reconnecting with my whole self requires an act of the will. Reconnecting with my natural sense of wholeness requires action. I recognize the fact that there are things that I have to give up in order to be whole. There are beliefs I need to release. There are identities I need to let go of. There are expectations that need to transform. In order to be whole, I must heal. And healing can be scary. Healing requires me to be honest with where I am. To be honest with what I've experienced. To be honest with what I have done. To be honest with what I have failed to do. I give myself permission to know It's okay to be scared of the work. That is required of me in order to be whole. It's okay to be overwhelmed, to be disappointed, to backslide, to execute half measures. Because I can try again in the next moment. Wholeness is not a destination. It is a process of simple steps, of small steps that add up into something that is wonderful. I give myself permission to be gentle in this process. I give myself permission to take the process a little bit at a time. I want to be whole. I want to reconnect with my natural wholeness. And I give myself permission to let that be a process that unfolds. Nice big deep breath. It's okay for healing and transformation to be scary. It's okay to be standing at the precipice of something big and taking a step back. The subconscious mind is disposed to consistent, to constant, to the way that things have always been, because that's predictable. Which means sometimes we pick the predictably bad over making change. And so coming back to this idea over and over again is a good and useful thing. And so I don't want you to be scared by the question, do you want to be whole? But I do think it's useful for us to recognize the magnitude of that question, what it actually requires, and what commitment we need to take. So I hope you found that reflection useful. I hope you found that tap along useful to make it a little easier for you to make a better action today. If you enjoyed this and you know someone in your life who might also enjoy it, please be our ambassador, pass it along. Don't spam your inbox and send it to everybody in the world, but you might know a person or two that would really enjoy this and would find this reflection useful. And if you pass it along to them and they don't listen, that's okay. Just sending someone an email today saying, hey, this made me think of you. I hope it makes your day a little brighter. That will make their day brighter. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have a topic you'd like us to cover or someone you'd like us to interview, we're going to be doing a bunch of interviews later in the calendar year. You can always drop me a note at support@tappingqanda.com. That's support@tappingqanda.com. If you have not done so already, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. And podcasting parlance, subscribe is free. Everywhere you find audio, just search for Tapping Q&A. You can find us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. Anywhere you find audio online, you can probably find us. Once you're in there, click follow, click subscribe, and most importantly, turn on those notifications. So each time a new piece of content comes out, you don't miss it. You can enjoy the tapping goodness. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, it's Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli and Tapping Q&A.